that I'm not sure about this one. Yeah. Alrighty, so once again, welcome to the official start of the stream. I'm OneUpIndie, your host, which is me. It can be that my PC will crash and then basically the whole stream is gone, because today is quite a hot day and my PC is having a little bit of troubles keeping up with the heat. So this can happen. So if OneUpIndie is going, let's say the live stream is going extinct, that could be an issue, just saying in advance. So let's get started. So a few things which I showed in the very beginning. We just need a few graphics which we will just input in. So basically this is the thing. We had the first two videos, so quick recap. We had first of all the game designer, just checking the first boss fight. I can actually show you that very quickly. No, not one zip. Let's see, and let's scale this up a little bit. Yeah. So here basically this is the boss fight, and we will copy and recreate a few things which we need. And later on the boss, he will appear. We got the pool here, and then we analyzed it in the first video, and then the second one where to get the resources. Basically I did a remix of things which I got online, so free stuff. I guess I will post the free ones in the links so you can grab those and then remix. I remixed it concerning the color schemes, because the original ones, for example here, the tile set, that wasn't like this. I remade it so it is in 8-bit style, and therefore we have different kind of color scheme. So here the colors are just, I guess, reddish brownish in the original one, but I remade them in one of my favorite tools, which is Infinity Photo. So this is of course a commercial license, but if you don't want to pay like ungodly sums for Adobe, this is the good thing. By the way, for example, if you have an older PC like mine, so just a quick thing, if you got today to the Epic Store, by the way, this is not, I'm not sponsored, by the way, they released Control. So if you want to play a video games or watch this one, we'll go for the video game, just saying, oh, you can play it later. But yeah, just one thing which I thought like, hey, this is worth mentioning for today. So Control is, by the way, pretty sweet. Didn't try it, but it looked cool, got good reviews, but then I was too lazy to buy it, and here, boom, we got it for free. Alrighty, so the first thing which I normally do, you can, I don't know, do a right click and then you import your sprites. So basically the assets which you need, we will do this just graphically. So the first thing what we want to do is recreate this dude here, which is just the level. And then you're thinking, okay, what kind of sizes do we want to use? What I did, I just took the video and then I counted the blocks, and each block is like 16 by 16. So I calculated the width and the height of 416 by 240, which is quite small, and then we will upscale it. So first of all, we will create our first new room where everything is happening. So we start clean, then we call it room 2. Yeah, call it room 2. And then of course, normally it starts with bigger parameters, which we don't want. So basically, I will take the one which I had here, of course, for your video game. You can use your own, so this is just up to you. But I just copy paste that stuff because I'm lazy in this kind of regard, and I don't want to do anything and do, well, everything from scratch. And of course, let's go 16 by 16 because it is a small grid. So here you can just change the grid very quickly. And then of course, now this looks a little bit, let's call it not too interesting. So therefore we just gonna go and quickly import our first tile set. So here, create a new tile set. And this one will be, well, for the green tiles. And these ones are the background tiles, and they have a different kind of layer structure because this ones will be on top and these ones, the blue ones, will be below. And therefore, for example, here foreground, as you can see, this is the stuff. We can actually call it like this because layer structure foreground, and here we will just paint the stuff which is up front, and therefore we need a tile set which we haven't created. So we just go create and call it tile, not like this, tile set, then 2, because this is the new one, and we need to assign it image, so this one which I showed, and we can just basically drag and drop that in here, or just create and then sprite. But you can of course do that with drag and drop, which is I guess the easiest one. So, and of course call it SPR. This is just a naming convention, but well, I already did this, my bad. SPR tile set 2, because everything is already in here, and from the to copy from, so basically everything is in there. I would just quickly peek inside there, and then well, we say like, hey, we want to use a specific sprite for our tile set, and then boom, well, we use the one which we're having here, and already is set. Just a quick thing, the first tile needs to be open. Here now, what does that mean? Not sub. if you do it with the, if you do it like this, so and sub, that means not. Not sure if you wanted to say that, but hello guys, 5 people, 6 people watch me. Wow, I'm almost famous. Sweet. Alrighty, so this is basically our tile set, and now in our room 2 we want to assign it a specific one, the one which we just created, and now we can paint. And because we are a little bit lazy, so once again we can check out the video, just see it once again. After mid, come on, VRC, one of my favorite players. So basically, what do we need here? 2 blocks on which we can stand, because here there are some spiky things going on. Spiky, where are they? No, this is, oh, I forgot this one. So this will not be part of the tutorial. Where are you? No, these are the balls floating. Here we go. So here there are spikes which are coming from the ground, and then they just go in the specific direction, left to right, and then 2 going into the center. Actually, we can watch this. So basically 1 here, then preparing, and then this is the spiky thing. And then of course we need, so basically he has 3 attacks. One is just a melee thing, so he's popping up. Okay, he is popping up. Come on. And then he's doing his first attack. So this is the first phase. Then the second phase, which we're gonna do, he is popping up and then doing, for example, the spiky thing where it's just disappearing. And the third thing, then he's spawning those balls, which are first of all wobbling quite a lot, and then they're just bouncing. So these are the things which we need. And then of course we need a tile set which is containing the whole thing. So let's make this a visual. Get rid of this. Then of course we need, let's make this a little bit bigger. Make this something like this. So it appears I already did a lot of things. Close it here, and the same for this side. So as you can see, you can very quickly make your level. And then let's go and make, I don't know, something like this. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see it much better. Sweet. And then I don't know, here you can just play around whatever you like. And let's take the blank ones, so we close it off so you can see this is the roof. And then we need, let's go for the closed one, something like this. I don't know, 1, 2, 1, 4, 5, 4, 5, and boom. Let's go for 6, and here we delete this one. 6, and then here the boss can then appear at this spot, at this spot, at this spot, and well, here. So basically he has different kind of spots where he can pop up. So from the block from the left side or from the right side. Okay, let's do it this, make it more visible, my bad. Yeah, and then he can appear here, 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 and at the very beginning he is appearing from the center just to show up. So here we are finished with this tile set, and of course then we need one which is below the instances where the player is. So here's the background, whatever you can call it, whatever you like. Then we place it below the instances. Of course, select our tile set, and then we can, I don't know, paint it a little bit, and yeah, something like this. I don't really know. You can do whatever you like. So you can see the background color is a little bit more darker, and it fits more the background. So here, like this double, as you can see, we are just messing around very quickly, and boom, our first mini boss level is almost finished. And of course we can do more with those ones, but not gonna bore you with that. So basically I'm just playing around a little bit and finished. Sweet. And then let's make this one on top here so it appears cohesive, and to here. Okay, I'm really starting to play around for nothing. Why not? And then as you can see, this already looks quite similar. Of course here a little bit more love, and here a little bit less love in this kind of regard, but it's basically the same. So here we have an enclosed area. Why did I do this? So the tiles are just signifying, hey, these spaces are, for example, are the background, so they're just decoration, and these things are actually walls. Why do I mean that? Because we will create now a wall object, and the first thing we will just have one of those balls, and it will just bounce off wall 2, and for that we need a sprite. So here SPR wall 2, and just give it, I don't know, let's go 16 by 16, then we can stretch it if we like. And then because we are super creative, we do something like this, and then we are pretty much done. Here, important to know, a few things in GameMaker don't need to be visible, so we go invisible, and then for example we can actually have a layer which we call invisible, and on that we put our walls in there. Here you can assign the sprite if you just click and then do this, or you can do it with drag and drop, and then this is just basically an empty object, but it is being used for a few things. So first of all, we just plant these things and stretch them, copy paste, put one in here, copy paste, and boom, put one in here. I'm gonna use this one later on for the ball, which is then bouncing here. So let's check out what the issue is. As you can see, it's snapping to the grid. Of course you can just desnap it, but then you can go into some areas which we don't want it to be, so this is good. And then the last two ones are the blocks in the middle. So this dude here and the second dude here, and of course this looks quite ugly, and therefore we just say make this invisible, but they are still there. So let's check out the chat if there's something. Sub okay, nice. So let's see how many people are watching. 6 people. Woo! I'm almost famous. And then we need to organize it a little bit, because as you can see, this is starting to get a little bit messy, and we have still a lot of things, and therefore it's a good thing to have your own folder structure. For that you just create groups. Groups are just basically the same thing which you have as a folder structure in your Mac or your Windows or your Linux, and therefore sprites, we just call it sprites 2, and boom, this is where we put everything in. I guess the tile set also, because we won't be using it any further, because concerning the decoration we are pretty much done. And then of course we create the next folder and call that objects, and here we will have subfolders because there are quite a few things which we want to do. And of course here, boom, we input that and create another folder. We just call that walls, and now it's gone, and then we don't need to see that. Alrighty, so here once again we are quite fast. Save that sucker because there's always some stuff being happening. And now we can start and do the wobbling ball, because I guess this is the easiest thing which we can put in. And of course, one of the few things which you do as well, because we are now the programmer, you need to test a lot of things. And therefore, even though maybe I will rush it with you through, I don't know, 1.5 hours or whatever, but it took me quite a lot of times just meddling with the numbers. Does that feel right? Are the values good? How long are the intervals? What kind of variables am I using? And so on. And therefore, there's quite a lot of things. So for example, just to signify it, let's say I'm having one control object. So this is for the boss control, and it has tons of variables. As you can see, there's quite a lot of stuff packed in here, because there are lots of adjustments from my side. And then of course, if you're designing your own boss fights, well, your job as the programmer, if you like to go in this kind of field, well, you need to fine tune those values also, because here, well, this is your job. Of course, if you are the game developer, this could be, of course, your part too, but then you just do that on more superficial things. You don't program most of the stuff. Here you just say like, hey, I want to, well, do and just fine tune the values which are already in there, and then the programmer is just saying like, hey, these and these variables, just change them until it feels good for the game. As you can see now, our boss room is pretty boring, and therefore let's create our ball. So objects, not node, come on, get away. We just create objects, ball, of course here once again 2, because already one exists. Then we need to create a sprite. Let me check how that actually looks like. The original one, boss 16 by 16, so it looks something like this. I'm just peeking a little bit, so we can basically create this one very quickly. So ball 2, and then it's what was that, 16 by 16. And here, one of the few things which is going very fast, we can just do something like this. Small, still too small. This is not working. Okay, here we go. And let's make this actually red, then draw with some black dot on here. You can see very quickly, but you can recreate a lot of things on the fly if you like, because a lot of pixel art, well, if it's moving, you won't be seeing it anyway. So basically here, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Something like this, boom. As you can see, now we have some extra shadow in there, and we are pretty much finished. Then align it in the middle center, because we want to wobble it later. So let's go into our wall object and boom, place, I don't know, 2 of them in here. So one under instances, so one here, and I guess one here. And let's dump that into sprites, because we don't need it anymore. And now let's give it some action, because we want it to bounce. And here, this is a cheap man's way how to do that, because what I'm gonna do is, so if you, for example, have our ball here, so actually I can show you. Wow, this is a big ball. So and put that into here. Quite small. The ball can go just in 4 directions. So basically it's just bouncing every time off. But let's say we have a little difficulty. Let's say, for example, we are bouncing upwards to a wall. Then you would say, okay, because we are moving, is this big enough? Let's say we are moving in this kind of direction. That means we go down. But the object doesn't know, hey, am I going actually from the bottom left to the top right? So I'm having a 45-degree upwards. But what, for example, if it's going and bumping into the wall like this, then of course we need to bounce it down like this. So therefore we need to decide, okay, what kind of previous direction we are having, and then depending if we are, let's say, going up left and we are bouncing or having a collision here, then we are going down like this. If we are going to the right and up, then we are going down here. So this is just so you understand why the logic is in place. And basically we are just having 4 directions. So this is 45 degrees. This is 90 plus 45, so basically 135. This is looking messy because it is. And then we got all the 2 also. So let's fill that actually up. I just make a quick copy from my side because once again, lazy. And here, hopefully you forgive me that I do this very quickly, but I don't want to bore you guys with stuff. So if you are a total beginner, once again, glad you watch it. Not sure if you will learn something here because fast stuff. Alrighty, so the first thing which we have to do here is have collision events and collision checks. So basically every time we are having this ball, it's just checking like, hey, am I bouncing up here? Am I bouncing to the left, to the right, or to the bottom? And then depending, this thing will bounce for eternity in there. So we having tons of collision checks. And for example, the first one, we say like var collision, what could I call it, top. And then we do a collision rectangle check. Here, what we do is, I just copy paste it in here so you can actually check it out, what that actually does mean. And here, bounding box is basically just referring to the bounding box of the object. So basically, if we just check it out very quickly, collision mask, this is the bounding box. Can we make it a little bit smaller? Yes, we can. Let's make this manual. And boom. And then it is small. Of course, you can do that with very precise, or for example, we can do that with an ellipse. But this is for performance. Very terrible idea, and normally you wouldn't be caring about that stuff anyway. So here we just go with a neat little rectangle. This is the fastest one. Then we say collision rectangle. And now if we are having, let's say we are very close to, well, our wall, then we're just checking, let's say 3 or 2 pixels or 1 or whatever above. So how do we do this? Well, we just have an extra variable. I just call it, what did I call it? Check. You can call it whatever you like. And then this is, I guess, 3 pixels. And then we're just saying like, hey, at our top minus, because if we are going upwards, this is 3 pixels then up from our top bounding box with our object wall. 2, because we are now in our room here. And then we're just saying like, hey, are we actually having a collision? And if we are having a collision, then we do something like this. We just say, okay, we are having a collision. So basically we're just getting an ID back, because if you check it for collision, then you get 2 things, or return value, because this is giving a return value back. No one just means like, there's nothing. Or if you have an ID, so if it's not no one, so this is a double negation. Yeah, we're just saying like, okay, so if we are now having a direction of 45, so basically we are going to the right and upwards, and then we say, okay, change our direction to another thing. So now we have to go to the right but downwards. So basically this is 315. So basically 360 minus 45, or 315, doesn't really matter. And then there's only a second option for that. Else, yes, spelling. else our direction is, because we are not moving, because we're bumping upwards to the top right, we are bumping or moving to the top left, which is 135 as a thingy here, and therefore we just say like okay, then we are moving downwards, and downwards is 225. Why is that? Because once again it is 180 degrees is then totally to the left, and then plus 45, boom, we are ending up with this kind of value. So first of all, actually we can check it out, our first room. So let's check this one out, and now you will see that this is quite small and the balls are not moving, because I'm an operator. What is this? Okay, get rid of this. So basically what we need to do at the very beginning, give it a direction, and here we just say 45. This is just for us for testing, 45, and then a speed of, I don't know, let's go for 2, and then now we can actually bump at the top with it, and let's see how that actually looks like. And of course this will be a little bit small. It will work. Okay, it won't. Why is that? Because I haven't placed the balls in the correct room. Yeah, fail at the very beginning. Sweet. So let's once again put in 1, 2, 3. Doesn't really matter. And what you will see, there will be a top collision, and then they will bounce correctly downwards, and they will glitch through the level because I haven't defined it. And this is our game, so as you can see, this is quite small. Therefore, let's make the camera a little bit bigger. So we just have a zoom. So here, go on the camera, enable our camera viewpoint 0, which is our default one, and then this is what we're gonna do. Visible, enable viewport, as you can see. Yeah, not what we wanted, for 16 by 240, and then this is already looking better because this is now applying to the whole room, but still we want to zoom in. And what kind of values do I have? What is that? 3 times it, 3 times, and make the scaling not awkward, because you can actually scale whatever you like, but then it looks kind of skewed, which we don't want. So let's check it out once again. As you can see, much bigger, much nicer, but still we are clipping. Now what we have to do is basically have 3 other collisions, and will I copy paste that? Yes, I will, because I am lazy. So here, so you understand hopefully the syntax for now. Basically we're just having a collision on the left side, on the bottom side, on the right side, and so on, with our object wall 2. And this is basically the code for the bouncing ball. So once again, collision rectangle, and then minus check if we are top, then if we are on the bottom, then plus, and then if you are on the right side, plus, and then if you are on the left side, minus. And this check variable, or you can call it buffer x or buffer or whatever, this is then the extra value you put in, and therefore this is it. And then of course you have always 2 modalities depending where you were going previous, and then you change the direction, and now we have kind of created Pong already. The achievements Pong, at least. As you can see, it does work, but the parts are quite small, so let's make them a little bit bigger, and then we want to animate them, so we make them a little bit wobble. But as you can see, this already looks pretty neat. Of course, this is the achievements Pong, as you can see, but still very effective if you just want to have this very linear. Alrighty, so the first thing, var size, and then let's make this 1.5, so we scale it up a little bit. So image x scale, here we go, is then equal to our size, and then the y scale also, and then of course the boards will be a little bit bigger, and of course their bounding box is getting bigger also because you are sizing everything up. There we go. A little bit bigger, a little bit more visible, but basically the same stuff. All right, so now we want to create a little bit of wobbling. Here there are different kind of ways. You can use juice FX or spooky. What is this thing called? The program I said yesterday. Forgot about the spooky something animation program. But we can actually do this with animation curves. Create, and animation curves are a little bit confusing at the very beginning if you use them. If you find them, by the way. Animation curve for the ball, and here you can create your own ones, and basically they will just go through a few values. And the great thing is they added a few ones which you can use at the very beginning. So for example, if you don't like my ease function, how dare you? No, I'm just kidding. You can use whatever you like. Then you can of course use different kind of ones. So let's say elastic bounce. Let's go for bounce. This sounds good. And then you got these kind of preset values. And then on the v-axis, of course, you need to make this make a few values also, because here they are just on the horizontal. Then at these points you want to change, and basically we can just copy that 1 to 1, 3.5, 7 to 5, 0.9, and 1. Here we go. And now we need to use this thing here. Oh, I will go quickly over that also. I guess I did a video on that one last time. Copy, paste. And now I will discuss what that actually means for our ball. So here we just go into our draw events, and we could say draw ourselves, which we don't want. And therefore we just say draw sprite, then extend it, and then here sprite index. So basically this is just copying, pasting the stuff which is already inside here. Then image index, here we go. Then XY, no changes here, but here we will have a different kind of X and Y scale values, and these ones are, I just call it scale. You can call it whatever you like, and they're 1.5 plus an extra value which I call CY, and we do that for the Y value also. Just in a few seconds you will understand what I actually mean by that. Cryptic stuff here, and boom. Now what else do we need? Rotation, image angle, as you can see, angle, this I'm just copy pasting stuff which is already in there. Image angle, of course, both ways are valid. Image angle, blend in my web, and then the last thing, one as the image alpha, and then we are doing now a thing which is for this kind of value. So what is this? Because here once again we want to start with 1.5 because we want to have the balls a little bit bigger, and we want to dynamically make them grow. What you can actually do is just make this image bigger and smaller, but then it could look a little bit strange. For example, if you have half a pixel, then game maker's like, okay, I cannot work with half a pixel, that doesn't exist, and then it will do some interpolation, and then pixel art will look kind of mushy, which you don't want, by the way, and therefore it is better, for example, to have a crisp pixel art thing, so here, and then just upscale it or downscale it, and then, for example, because everything is upscaled anyway, then the interpolation just looks better on the screen. So this is just a thing. So here, don't play around with that. So how can we basically get our animation curve? So here, this dude here, we just say var. First of all, we need to get the channel. It's a little bit complicated. So animation curve get channel. Here we go. And then we need to have, first of all, how we call this animation curve. So the ball, because we can have multiple ones. Boom. And then we start with the first one, 0. What does the 0 mean? So very, very quickly, you can have multiple curves in there. So you can, I don't know, make another one, make another one, make another one. Or you can trash them like I do now. Go on, get rid of this. And then, how is this one called? Curve 1. So you can input that as curve 1. Or basically use an index point, so say 0 because this is the first one, the default one, and boom, we got the ones which we want to use. And now we want to cycle through, well, through this point from 0 to 1. So therefore we just say like, hey, create a variable. I just call it var cy, or you can call it whatever, cycle through, go from 0 to 1, whatever. And then I just animation curve, anim curve channel, yeah, channel, and then we said evaluate. Basically this is just put in some values and get a return value back. So this is how the animation curve stuff works. Then we can basically input the wobble thing in there. And then a little bit of, well, first of all, we need to input here a channel. So there's, we need the channel. This one we already got. And then, well, the position X, so basically the horizontal axis, what kind of input value do you want to have? And for that we can actually use the sinus value with our current time, but current day, current time, but because this value is quite high, we need to make it a little bit smaller, because we can just go between 0 and 1, divided by 500. And of course here at some point the value will be a little bit too big, because this is sinus, and sinus at some point goes between -1 and 1, and therefore we need to wrap it into absolute. So we just get all the time positive values. Let's see if I did this correctly. Hopefully, let's see. Nope. One more. Okay, and now we want not just a value between 0 and 1, because this is, I guess, a little bit too small or too big. And then we just fine tune it. Here, once again, this is just from my side by 3. And then let's check it out, because now the balls are wobbling. Are they wobbling? Yes. As you can see, hopefully you can see that they are. Make them a little bit so they are not moving. So let's don't give them a speed value. And now you see that they are kind of pulsating, and well, they are kind of animating through that stuff. As you can see, this is, for example, you could use this for a heartbeat or for a pulsating thing or whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. As you can see, it does work. So here, how far are we in? Check the time. Almost half an hour. Well, almost 1 hour, and I just already did the ball. Yeah, this is gonna be longer than 1.5 hours. Ouch. Oh well, so let's keep on doing the next thing. Now we need our, well, blood walls, which is just basically a layer which we just put up, and therefore there are different ways how you can do that. You can draw a rectangle or whatever, or you can actually use the asset layer. So here asset layer. Asset layer just means that you can input sprites into the ROM. Where's the asset layer? Yeah, it needs to be above, and on that we want to input our bubble bath wall, which will be reddish. So SPR bubble bath, and then 2, and here I don't know, let's go for nice, no, not pinkish, boom, and then we just put that on the asset layer. So basically we just can drag and drop. Wow, that's big. Let's make this definitely bigger, 8 by 8, 16 by 16. Let's go by 16 by 16 because these values are always better. You can see now we can just drag that on top. And the great thing about this is that we can later on just move it up and down depending if you want to have it in the in the active view, because if you go down, then here this is outside the view, and then what we do, we just have it at the very beginning down here, and we just say, hey, layer, go up, because this is what we can do with the layer. At least we can move it up and down, which is pretty sweet, and that we can actually do. So let's go and create our object boss control. So this is the first thing which we're gonna do. I already got that. Object boss control 2. Here we go. Input that into the room, but under a layer instances. Here we go. And of course here this looks a little bit silly, and therefore we just have a sprite SPR icon or GUI or whatever control, and for that, do I have sprite ready? Yes, I do. Which is called D66 something something. Here we go. Icon control 2, and then we just give it to our control object here. And here, what do we do? Well, we can, first of all, we need to grab the channel. Very quickly need to copy that from our object boss control. Hopefully this is not too fast for you guys. Yeah, copy paste, get rid of all that, boom. And what do we do? Well, first of all, we need to get rid of all the stuff, the clutter which we don't need. The bubble bath also under sprites. Yeah, by the object ball, we don't actually need it anymore because it is almost finished. So one thing which we can do there in there. So let's say we don't want to be it to be all the time around. So we just go alarm. Let's call it 0, and let's say, I don't know how many seconds. Let's go for 8 seconds. So 8 times 60 steps. So 1 step, 60 steps is 1 second. So here, this is then the refresh rate. And let's say after 8 seconds, this thing disappears. Let's go for 10, even though it appears a little bit long. And what do we do on this alarm? We just say instance destroy. Here we go. We destroyed it. And let's see if I'm still streaming. Yeah, looks like it. Sweet. And well, I guess then the ball is finished. We don't need to do anything further. Can go away also. Let's go into our control object. And how can we manipulate this kind of layer? First of all, we need to grab it. Assets, bubble bars. So give it a nice name. And here in our control, we can, for a test, first of all, grab the layer. So var bubble layer is called or is grabbed by layer get ID, because we need to grab the ID, and well, it has a specific name, which is this one here, but it is a string, so you need to put it into, well, those Gänsefüßchens here, and now we have it. And now we can basically say layer, because this is kind of easy, layer y, which layer, come on, which layer do we want to use? This one, and we want to, well, have a value which is at the very start, but let's go and create. So here we already start and say like, hey, bubble layer, bubble bath layer, and here we need a start value, so start bubble layer y. Here we go, and here at the very beginning it is at 0, because this is the first, this is the default value. So boom, and we just say like, hey, minus, I don't know, we can go with a fixed value, but I would say let's create a variable, which I just called then start y add, and then it has a value of, let's say 0.1 or something like this, and this one we will add to this value, and then you will see that the bubble bath is going up. So let's start it. Come on, yes, and it is going up, and this is basically it. At some point we need to say like, hey, don't move up, because this is good enough for us, because in the end this is just an illusion for the player, and therefore we just say like, hey, if this kind of value is smaller equals to minus 32, so basically from 0, hello, we go to minus 32, then, well, this value will stick around at minus 32. So here we go, then minus 32, and then as you can see now when we start it once again, so this is just a fail safe for us, then basically we created our first phase. So here, wait, it's going up, and it sticks around here, because this is where we want to have it, and this is it. So here we can already define our first thing. Here we have universal variables, something, and then we call it phase, which is then phase 1. And what do we do in phase 1? Well, we make the bubble bath go up, and this stuff basically we input into a script, because then it definitely looks better. So we create a script, because we want to have it external. Script phase 1, and make a few dashes more, because this stuff already exists, and then we can just input the same code and boom, put it in there. And then, for example, once we hit this threshold that it's minus 32, the phase of our controller says like, hey, sweet, bubble bath went up, we go to phase 2, and then well, this script is not being called. So here we just go into our step event and say like, hey, if phase is equal to 1, so basically this is our start phase, boom, run this script. And then, for example, if we're in phase 2, run this script, and we are phase 3, run this script, and so on. And this is how we can neatly organize, and of course this is more pleasant for the eye, and then you don't see like tons of code in there which is just not looking good at all. So here we are, let's see how far we are. 9 o'clock. Let's go for something to drink. 1 second. Yeah, dropped to 3 people actually watching. Yeah, no, this is very, very dry stuff, but well, that's life. Alrighty. Good stuff. Okay, sweet. So here we already neighbors. Here we already did our first phase, and then what do we do in the second phase? So first of all, what we do, phase 1, bubble bath goes up. Phase 2, we have a GUI element which is just being drawn here, and then the boss is going upwards, so he can posture. And then phase 3, what was phase 3? I don't even know. I'll confuse myself. Here we go. Already got it nicely written. So basically, phase 1, bubble bath goes up. This is what we did. Sweet. Then roll out the GUI, and then the enemy is going upwards. So basically, this is showing, hey, this is a boss fight. This is important. And then the boss goes quickly down once, and then it does a set where the boss will appear. So one of those 4 positions. Boom. And then we have a thing which is a little bit bigger. So basically phase 4, 5, and 6 are similar, but the difference is that, for example, here he will just pop up and do melee. The second one, he will melee and do those spiky things. And then the third one, which is the final one, everything is a little bit faster. And then the boss will move, do the melee, or maybe do some balls, or do the spikes in tandem. So here once again, and of course, if he has a little small HP, so basically he's 0, then we have a death animation where the boss is like, and then boom, it is game over for him. So here, these are the phases, and I'm not sure if I can actually do that quickly, but let's try anyway. So let's go and copy that one, get stuff out here, close it so I don't confuse you guys too much. Let's go into the boss control, and we are done with our first phase. Now we need to make the GUI pop up, and we need to make the boss go up. So first let's do the GUI element. So create, right, SPR GUI HP. Yeah, I already have that. SPR GUI HP 2. Here we go. Was it 40? Would rather do something like this. And here, what you can do is draw that by yourself, because this is quite easy. But I don't want to do this, so I just copy paste that in here, kill this dude, and call it like this. So basically, this is very, very easy to copy. Basically, a black outline, black inside, and then, well, a white outline, and then kind of an extra shadow, just 1 pixel here. And this stuff looks good. Of course, you can cut it here if you like, doesn't really matter. And to use this as a 9 slice, we just go and do this new option. So basically, this is a new thing from Game Maker, and then you have to enable it, and now it is a 9 slice. Check it out if it does work correctly. No, it doesn't. It looks terrible, and therefore we need to put those, put those rulers in the correct position, so where we want to cut it. So here, so 1 pixel above, and one here and one here. And now let's check it out once again in the preview on the right side. Ta-da! This is the way we want to have it. This is good because we want to repeat the inside. And boom, we got our 9 slice in there. And what we want to do is draw that stuff on the screen. So we just go draw and say, hey, do we have phase 2 or higher? Then boom, show our HP. So if phase is bigger or equal to 2, we want to draw a sprite, which is then the ones which I just showed you. This dude here, draw sprite, and we need to of course stretch it, and therefore we just go and draw sprite extend. This one, sub image 0, doesn't really matter. Then we need to input X and Y values. Here we can just orientate, say like somewhere between here. Then at the bottom you see those two values. So you can go with hard values if you like, or just with relative ones later on. Here is a fixed room, so we can just go with cheap 2 values, so something somewhere in here. So basically, I don't know, let's go with 384 by 28 X Y position, something like this. So what did I actually use? Let's see what I actually did use. And 400 by 5. Okay. So we just go and say, okay, we need our hard values. So 400 by 5. Correct. And now we need to stretch that thing. Of course, we could go with a 1, 1. But this is then, well, pretty pointless to do. Image, I don't know, image rotation 0, color C white. So no tinting, no blending. Then alpha, let's go for 1. And we could actually start this. I'm glad you're able to see you streaming. Yeah, I just, what's happening? Because that thing doesn't exist. Copy paste, call that 2. But of course here nothing is happening. And then of course if you copy paste it, a little bit difficult. Sometimes it will throw an error. You need to rename it because every script needs to have a unique name. Danke nochmal für die Videos. Ja, bitte doch. Kein Problem. So if you have any questions, by the way, shoot. Of course you can ask in German, but then I kind of exclude the other dudes and dudettes here, so better not. So let's try that again. So let's see. Bubble bath going up, and now we need to go to phase 2. And I guess it's being drawn here, which isn't too good. Yeah, that's pretty terrible, by the way. Foreground. So and as you can see, now we need a layer which is even above that. That's bubble bath. Our instances should be very high, so let's go for very, very high. There we go. You on instances? Yes, you are. So let's check this out again. Come on. Our bath goes up, and here we go. And this looks pretty terrible. And here one thing, because if you stretch that thing, the origin point is kind of important. Why is that? Well, I'm going to show you what that actually means. Come on. So let's say we want to advance our X scale, because now we are stretching it according to, because it's defined as a 9 slice. And let's say, I don't know, let's make it 50. And then you're thinking, okay, sweet, so it will go to the left side. Yeah, not gonna happen now. We have to make a different point, as you can see. Okay, well, you cannot see it now. It's going up. Now it's here, and then it is stretching to the right side, which we don't want. And therefore, we need to go top right. And now it is then being stretched to the left side. Come on. Come on. Sweet, as you can see, definitely much better. And of course, we want to stretch that thing dynamically, and therefore we need a few variables. And one of those variables is, two of those variables I then call, sorry for that, is then called GUI scale. So here once again we are in phase 1, we are in phase 2. So here the I just call it GUI X scale, and then at the very beginning it starts with the 1, and the maximum value is, it's actually a good question, I don't even know. What kind of value did I input? Then a third value, okay. So here 8. So basically we define 3 variables. First of all, the start value of the GUI X scale. This one we're gonna upgrade all the time, so we can input it in here, so for the X scale, and then we need to update it by a value of, I don't know, let's say here GUI X scale, then add. A great thing is to, well, a good practice is to have long name descriptions for your variables, because at some point you're having, let's say, 50, or in a few games, a few thousand variables, and then if they are just called X1 or Y or B or F or R, it doesn't really say anything to you. And if you revisit your code after 2 months because you haven't touched it, yeah, everything feels kind of foreign. Therefore, so it's a good practice to have variables which are a little bit longer, but they are kind of descriptive. So therefore, I just call it, I don't know, scale or upgrade or add or whatever. Or for example here, max. And here, what do? Well, we just say like, hey, let's update that, but not in our draw event, but in our phase 2. So here we just take those variables, then update it, but just say like, don't update it all the time. So if it's bigger or equals to the max value, which was then 8, then we say that max it out at 8. And then of course we could say like, hey, then go into phase 3, but we actually don't want that, because we want to have our boss go up also. So here once again you will see that basically we are popping up with a bubble bath, and then we have a GUI coming, and then it's getting bigger, so just indicating, hey, a boss fight is starting. Okay, that's not good. That's definitely not good. One second. Starts with 1. This is the bigger one. Voila. Maybe the value was a little bit too high. Come on, come on. Yeah, the value was a little bit too high, so let's make this. As you can see, now we have to work with really small values, because we're updating 60 times per second, and therefore values going up quite rapidly. No, you don't want? Okay, cringe. Not sure what's actually happening. It's definitely cringy. Here we go, because we need to define it as phase 2. My bad. Go up. And it is going really slow. Yeah, this is not what we want, but as you can see, we are preparing, and this is the one of the, well, not the fun parts of programming, because we need to test everything step by step. And if you see that stuff 50 times, you get pretty much annoyed by it, but I guess this is the way it goes. So let's go with the previous values. And here, let's make this a little bit higher also, so we don't have to wait bazillions of years to make it happen. Yes, and as you can see, boom, we have that. And then of course we want to draw HP bar 2. Here we go. We can basically take that thing and edit image, and we just want to have one little bar. Let's go from over here to here, and everything else we just delete. Basically, how big is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So basically we have you can do that of course with the 9 slices also as an inverted. I didn't test it out, so therefore I cannot give a good description how to do it correctly, and I don't want to test it in the stream. Here we go. And this is our HP bar, top right correctly also, and we can do the same stuff as here, but we will have a little issue, because if we scale it up the same way, it won't be looking the same, because it will just have 8 what do we call it, 8 pixels, which is kind of small, by the way. So therefore we need to make it a little bit different. And how different? Well, we need to give it, yeah, we need to calculate it differently. So here very quickly, so you can actually see that in action. So here we cannot use the same values, because now we want to represent our HP bar. Let's go for universal variables. First of all, we need calculation HP, which we can use as var. So var calculate HP. And why is that important? Well, because I want to take our current HP to the maximum start value, and then times this scale value, and then how long that thing will be. Looks kind of difficult, but basically this will be a value between, well, if you divide the current one by the max, it can go maximum of 1 or the minimum 0, and then of course nothing in there. And then this scale thing, which is just 8 as a value, so it goes from 0 to 8, and then times 29. So it kind of is a fix, a lazy fix, how you can actually do this. And now you will see what I mean by this. So basically we have those two values at the very beginning. So HP goes with, how much do we want to have? I don't know, let's go 50, let's go 100, why not? And then an HP max, then it has 100 also, and then it has, and we're pretty much done with that. So let's actually check it out. Here we want to use this as a reference for our HP bar, which is then flexible all the time, because it needs to go up and down, or basically it just goes down. Now let's make this a little bit more coherent. because it's not at the correct spot. So we need to go a little bit to the left, a little bit downwards. What kind of values did I use? Let's see, 390, 11. Okay, as you can see, you need to do this then for your game as you need it. Let's check it out once again. And as you can see, the follow-up doesn't look too good. So you can do it like this, or for example, you can do the alpha 0 at the very beginning. Then once the whole bar is rolled up, then you set it to 1. This is what I did in my preview, but here just leave it at this, and then it does work. Alrighty, so let's go to the next thing which we want to set up is the nice spike going up and going down. And this, how it works is basically let's go in here. We have, let's go with the spike. Oh, there we go. And basically what's happening in here is we have a little spike, and it is sitting very, very low. Then it's going up, it's going down, and then it disappears. And we have one controller thing which is just saying like, hey, draw one spike up here, then go plus one here, plus one here, plus one here, and then it appears that you have kind of a spike which is just going, then a stream of spikes which are just going up and down. And this is just basically it. So therefore you need a spike, well, object which is just going up and down, and then it's getting destroyed. So bye bye, discard it, and then one controller which is there, and just say like, hey, this is where it ends. Alrighty, so I guess we're gonna do this one and that, and then the stream is getting way too long, and I guess I'm gonna do tomorrow the second, third, the fourth part, and hopefully then finish the whole thing, because as you can see, this is getting quite long. What's the time? Yeah, I don't want to do a longer string than 2 hours, because I'm not sure. I guess there are some restrictions concerning the length of streams in YouTube and how much can we record it and so on, because my idea is that you guys can just check it out later on, because maybe you don't want to follow the stream, you just want to see it a later time for your convenience, and therefore I guess there are some restrictions with YouTube. I don't remember, it was 1.5 hours, 2 or maybe 3 or something. Then after that it does not record it. Don't want to check it out why that is. So actually let's see if the stream is actually still running. Still running? Am I still running? Yes, I am. Sweet. Alrighty. So we got this one. So first of all, let's define the spike. What we can do, just give it a Y value, go up and go down, which is possible. But I like to do that with animation curves, because it shoots up quickly and then it goes down. And therefore it looks a little bit more elastic, because just going strictly up and down looks a little bit more, it does look artificial, which I don't want, and therefore an animation curve in this kind of regard is pretty sweet. So we're gonna do basically an animation curve the same as this one. So for example, this one I did for the spike. Here I'm not gonna create it because I already have one. So here just which one did I take? Oh, going up like this. I guess I took something, I guess cubic or circ. So basically it goes correctly, and then I input once again and those kind of values between I just copy the horizontal values the same as the vertical values, then you can just multiply them to the actual value you want to have. And for me it was, I guess, from 0 when they're starting here to 45 pixels upwards, and then going up and going down, going up and going down. And this is basically what we're gonna copy. So here animation curve, Not gonna copy and do the same stuff again. So boss, spike, step, and here we just do a few things. The create event also. A few things so you understand what's actually going on. So here we create those spikes and create object spike 2, give it the sprite, so here boom, SPR spike 2, here we go. You can see this is getting messy, so therefore once again a little bit of housekeeping. By here we go, and spike 2, and therefore we need just 2 events. Once it's popped up and it's doing its thing, and then after it went down, it needs to go away. So the first thing which we need to establish is, first of all, this is what I do, little trigger thingy here, so a state machine or whatever you can call it whatever you like. I don't call it, I just then call it, I don't know, go up, and say like true, because at the very beginning we want to go up. Then we have a timer which starts at 0, and the timer max which ends at, I put it at 12. So basically this is a little bit more than 1/6 of a second, so it's just shooting up, and then 1/6 of a second with shooting down. So basically not even half a second going up and down, and therefore it actually looks very, very pleasant to the eye, and therefore it looks good. And then you got this nice chain reaction. Of course, here once again play around with those values, and then we need a start value, so y start. So this is our y value upon creation, and then y go up. This is then here the 45 pixels. Once again, this is up to you, depending how high you want to have it, how big your spike is. By the way, the spike I just did also, so here not too difficult to copy, so one outline, one thingy here, and then this is basically it. 4 minutes of excellent work. Not really. Then bottom center, boom, and then this is just basically it. And then we're just saying like, hey, if we are going up, we run our timer. And then we're just saying, sweet, we have our timer, so timer plus plus. Then if our timer reaches, now is it over the max timer value? So there we go, timer max. Then what do? Well, we just say like, hey, now it is time to go down. So we just say go up. Nope, it is false now. And then we go down with our timer, because now we want to do the reverse thing. So we just say like, okay, so we go up, and now we go down. So if this is false, we use the same timer which we filled up. We'll just say like minus minus, and then we basically say like, hey, if the timer is smaller or equals to 0, we destroy the instance, because we don't need an instance to destroy. And this is pretty much it. But for now there is no movement, and the movement which we input is basically our y value, is our y start, which we established at the very beginning. Then minus, once again, cy. This is what we saw in the ball also. So this is the same thing. And then how much, because this value goes between 0 to 1, and therefore we need to multiply it. Of course, you can input those values inside the animation curve if you like, so this is of course possible also. And then we first of all need to grab the channel of our animation curve for the spike, the first one, and then once again here what we can do is not use well, a timer, or let's say the current time, because we need to have it at a specific point. So here the timer divided by time, then of course absolute. It's always then determining how big the value is. So for example here, if the timer is running up and then it's reaching time max, the maximum value can be 1. So here cy is then between 0 to 1. Going upwards, that's why I have a minus value from its start value. And then once we flip that thing, we just say like, hey, now then it goes from 1 down to 0, and then of course this thing is going down. So how can we do this? Well, we can actually create a little tester object, tester2, because already we have a tester. Input that into the room. Let's make a nice little sprite for our tester. So SPR tester2. Let's make this a little bit smaller. 32 by 32. Here we go. Fill it up with a neat color. Boom. Yes, it looks ugly as hell. And then let's go for test. Yeah, this is a T made for the champions. Damn, this looks really terrible. Yeah, let's pretend this is a T. And then let's give this nice little thingy here and there. And as you can see, it definitely looks better. And then you see, okay, this is a testing. And later on, when the production phase is over, where you don't need the tester, you just kick it out of the room. Alrighty, so here we got our control guide in our tester. And what is our tester doing? Let's make a little bit of housekeeping in here. We just say like, hey, by pressing the mouse button on this specific point, let's create one of those spikes just for testing. So if mouse check mouse check button released. Here we go. Mouse button, let's go for left. Boom, boom. Instance create. So as you can see, this stuff runs almost off the tongue. Not really, but no, mouse X, mouse Y. We create for our testing to see if it does look good. Spike on that specific spot, and of course on our instances layer. So instances, here we go, comma. Yeah, get lost. Let's see how that looks like. So as you can see, this is very, very fast, and then of course we cannot go outside of the room, but this is basically how it looks like. But the thing is, the spikes shouldn't be above everything. So here, that's not at instances. We should then have a layer, which is then called spikes, which is above the bubble bath, but below the green things, and therefore it just appears correctly where it should be. So it's below the foreground. Okay, let's create instances spikes. Here we go. Then make this nicely into our tester, so we can actually see it a little bit better. And then we just quickly create one of those spawners. So as you can see, this is looking good. Yeah, so bam, 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 bam. This is what we basically want. Of course, a little bit below. Then this is basically what it looks like. So here, once again, just for our testing, does work. And then the last object which we're going to create. No questions. Alrighty. Because only 2 people are watching. Yeah. Control spikes. How about the P? Spikes 2. Here we go. And then for that we need a few things. Control. Do that with an alarm. Okay. Okay. 1 second. For that I even have a nice icon. Should I make one? Yeah, nah, I don't want to do this. So basically, we will now create on the tester a spike control, and then it will do the more automated things by control. So here, just a few things which we need to do. First of all, we just say like, hey, we need to have a specific spawn X here. This will be on this specific point or on this specific point, and then going from right to left or from left to the right, and then of course both together, well, crossing over in the center. Then we need a value which is defining if we are going to the left or to the right, and here spawn X add, and this could be -14 or +14. So every 14 pixels we will spawn a new thing, which is good. And then we just said, okay, how many spikes do we actually want to spawn? There are different ways how to do this. What I did, I just said like, hey, I'm just spawning 40 spikes. So, and then I guess it ends somewhere here out of the room, which doesn't really matter, but then it goes out and then it looks organic. Of course, here you can adjust it to your likings, and therefore I just say like, hey, as a control mechanism, at some point, please stop spawning spikes. And then we just say like, hey, I'm gonna utilize the alarm event, which is this dude here. So alarm 0, boom. And here we will just say instance create our spawn X. So this is our current value where we want to spawn it. And then what did I use? Y value. So here they will just copy paste that, and then spikes, boom, this specific layer, and then what? Well, the spike object. So here we go. And because we want to, well, repeat the cycle, we just say like, hey, spawn X plus equals what? Added thing. And the next thing we just say like, hey, we have added one, so plus equals to 1. And of course we just say like, have we spawned enough of those spikes? So is it bigger or equals to this maximum value of 40? We just say like, okay, well, if it's, let's go for smaller, then we are creating, well, an instance, and then we are looping the alarm. So alarm set 0, and what kind of time? The alarm reset time. So here once again, this is a variable for that. Boom, I just input it here. So once again, what's happening very quickly. So basically we're having an X value, which is just going, let's say, to the right here or to the left, depending what we're adding. Then we're just saying, okay, we are adding one spike spawn. Then at some point we say like, as long we haven't reached the maximum value, then we are spawning a spike, and then we are resetting the alarm. And of course, if it's, well, bigger, we just say like, okay, time for you to go. So else, if this value is bigger, instance destroy. Here we go. And we can actually test this one already out. Yeah, we can actually do that. Can we? Yes, we can. So let's see. So the object control. So here, this is the thing which is getting, which is controlling, then being spawned, and then at some point it stops. So var, let's go mouse X, but let's go for the height 240. So let's go by 50 to 50. Let's go by 260. And actually, let's see how that looks like. So we got the fixed value, which is a little bit below. Here we go. And as you can see, looks pretty good. I'm not sure what's actually happening here. Mouse X. Not sure what the issue actually here is, but it does look already good. So let's see what I messed up. Spawn X is 0. It's my current X. Here we go. That was my fault. So let's try that again. Yeah, it was always starting at the 0 position, which we don't want. Here we go. And if you're wondering why there is a delay, well, because normally there are some particles going up, but do I want to do the particles? No, next video. So here, once again, I want to close it because this is getting way too long. So what did we achieve? Just to recap, we created those bouncing balls, then we pushed up for the first phase, and the second phase we kind of defined what we want to have. We stretched out the GUI, draw the HP, then, well, the next thing which we want to do is make the, well, boss go up. Then we define the spikes which he can kind of spawn. And now what we need to do in the next video, and hopefully this will be then finished, then we need to do phase 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7. And then basically we're just defining, hey, let's go up, let's go down, and then the boss will just basically do its thing and say like, hey, come on, let's grab the boss. And basically what we're going to do is, first of all, make him, let's say, go up to this kind of point, then he goes down, then we go to phase 3, then we say like, okay, position here, this position, this or this, one of those will be selected, then he goes up, and then he's like doing his attack, waiting, and then he's just going down, and then there's a cooldown phase, then he's just chilling underwater as it seems, and then he's getting a new position assigned, and then he's like, ha, I'm here, and then he's just appearing, and then he's going up, and depending how much HP he has left, then he's getting more attacks added to it. And for example, if he's spawning spikes, he will just chill underground, and then there will be a spike on the left side, then a spike on the right side, then left, right, and therefore you got a repeating pattern. And then we are pretty much done. Not sure how much that will take, because the script for the phases are not as small as they seem. So let's go for the script. So let's say phase 3. Yeah, this still looks human. And here you will have a little state machine. So this is a little teaser for that part. depending how many people actually will watch this video in the end. If your retention time is longer than 5 minutes, then I guess I'm gonna do the second video. If not, well, I just say like, okay, that was an interesting thing. Not gonna repeat it again. Guess video streams should be a little bit more fluff. Alrighty, so as you can see here, tons of things in the state machine, and boom. Hopefully I didn't bore you completely to death, which I guess I did. So are there any questions from you guys besides that I showed you in a very quick manner how to set up the first stages of the thing? So basically just a few things in a quite rushed area. So let's see, Wiedergaben. Quite a lot of people. That can't be true. So many people, and so many people just walked off. Yeah. So I guess if there are no questions from you guys, so once again, if you're a patron, you got all the whole project is already finished, so you can just download it and play around. And for everybody else who just like just wants to do kind of a similar thing, I will put in the video which will be recorded after this. I will set a few links for the resources, and then I guess the rest you can make yourself in like 3 or 5 minutes, because there's no magic here from my side. This is easy peasy, self-made. And then, well, you can see. Please mach noch ein deutsches Video. Nee, auf keinen Fall. Auf keinen Fall. Keine deutschen Videos. Just saying like one guy just said like, hey, let's do a German video. But to be honest, the German audience is a little bit small. It's definitely way too small to justify it. For example, I could actually make a completely one-up indie, just German channel for Game Maker, but it doesn't make any sense. Just too small, and therefore English is still the programming language, and I guess it will stay in the way for quite some time, as I guess it would be definitely easier for me to do some German stuff in there. I want to say thank you for all the videos. I have a lot of guys. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, I heard that quite a few times, just but I'm not sure if I'm really helping you guys, because a lot of times it's most people don't watch the videos. What is that? Normally at 1 minute 50, 1 minute 20, most just jump off. So I don't know. I guess I helped a few guys, and if that helps, sweet. I cannot test it. I cannot just select, you didn't watch the video to the end, my friend. This is just up to you what you do with it. Okay, so as you can see, well, not as you can see, there are no questions from you guys, as it seems. So I'm gonna almost sneeze in the microphone, which I didn't want. Then see you around, and I just check out how many people actually watch the video and how long you're actually sticking to it. And if it makes sense, I will do the second part and hopefully finish that thing. And then plans for the future. If I reach the 5K, because I'm now 4 in subs, but subs are enrolling ultra low in the last few months. But I guess this is my fault. Not too many videos. Then I will do a special giveaway once again, because then 5K is a milestone from my side. And then I guess do an inventory system for free, so you can just download it and grab it for free, or something else. Of course, community can vote on that. But of course, if you got some other ideas where you just say like, oh sweet, I wanted to have this for free, of course. Yes, so thank you for the community. If I reach 5K in 12 months, as it seems, then, well, just collect your thoughts if you have any specific wishes which are makeable. Alrighty, that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, if you watched, and see you around. Have a good one. One up, Indy.